Hi guys, Josie here and Alison, and we are recording a podcast for you. This is part of our way of trying to come into your world a little bit more on a regular basis and kind of bring some of the topics that we have to life. And ideally, we're going to hold these live and car crash. And so that you can interact while we're having these conversations. You can have a conversation with us. So today we are going to talk about sadhana. So you've noticed I have posted like the tail end of my last 40-day sadhana. I've done that as a way to kind of inspire you to think about how you bring your committed practice into your day. And also it fits in with the theme that we've got this month, which is purify and fortify. You know, you've got to have a committed practice in order to kind of start to get some of the benefits of your practice over a more sustained period of time. So we started with sadhana to start to kind of get the slate clean and give yourself something to work towards, right? And to really get a feel of how you're doing and how you're progressing. So one of the things that Alison's working on at the moment, as most of you know, is she's doing her teacher training and doing her 200-hour teacher training. And this topic's particularly relevant at the moment for Alison because she's having to prepare her own 40-day sadhana. They're always 40 days. 40-day sadhana as part of her teacher training. So Alison was just going to kind of talk to me and to you and just create a conversation around what that process has involved. So, Ali, how have you found creating your own sadhana? What kind of steps have you taken to create a daily committed practice for yourself?
Well, this is part of my final assessment, and my teacher, he's given me specific questions to ask myself for the sadhana. So things like, what dosha are you more kind of struggling with balancing at the moment? Or what's your environment like around you, the temperature, the weather? So there's lots of things you need to consider when creating your sadhana, because it will always be different depending on how you're feeling, where you are, what time of year it is. And personally, my sadhana is going to be a moon practice, just because I'm reasonably new to all of this, even though I have just done a teacher training. I've not gone into the path of the moon as much as I'd like to before going into the sun. So yeah, I'm going to be working on making a sadhana under the moon influence.
Mm-hmm. So for those of members who kind of not too clear on what we mean by moon practice, why is a moon practice important? What kind of constitutes a moon practice, and what would you be expecting to achieve as a result of moving into the moon path?
So the moon path is all about the mind, and there's this quote. It was
Rumi? Swami Rama?
It was about the mind being tranquil. I can't remember it.
I remember it.
But yeah.
Check your quotes before you do a live.
Yeah. Anyway, it's all about, making the mind steady first and becoming stable in the mind, so that then you can kind of progress more into the more subtle aspects.
So is it the one you have to make them take the moon with you to allow the sun to rise?
Yeah. So make the moon steady to allow the sun to rise.
Yeah. Which basically means like our minds have got to be really in a great place for us to like move into our full potential. And like yoga is, after all, a transformational practice. Okay, we're not just here to move our bodies around and maybe get a little bit more strength. It's way more than that. And we have to start in a place where we've got that mind steady and still. We're just getting some background noise, which is really great. So noticing the mind spinning. So yeah, you've got to have a stable mind for your feet before you can start to bring more light, more of the solar energy into practice. So that's where practice starts.
Yeah. So I definitely think I want to really get that bit perfect, or not perfect, but I want to get it there before I start doing sadhanas in sun. So yeah, I think I just need a bit more stability in my. I think it's more my body I need to work with than my mind personally. I think I can get there quite easily in that state of mind, but holding the poses and still being able to keep my mind present, that's probably the hardest bit, just because I'm not strong enough yet, I think, and it's mainly my legs. I start to tremble and my mind starts to go. So really I just need to learn to get the mind under my control a little bit more through doing some more tougher poses, longer holding poses. So, and obviously by doing 40 days straight of a class with that is going to give me that stability, and then I can move on. Yeah,
because they say that 40 days is the minimum amount for us to practice in order for the essence of the practice to reveal itself. So, and just remembering that yoga is a science, and the sages have been studying this for thousands of years. So, they've done their homework. The data is already there in terms of its success. So it's just about us showing up, running that practice through, no gaps, no days off, just really committing to ourselves. Because that also sends a very clear message. I don't know about you, but like when you set yourself a task, that this matters, it's important to you, and like more and more it's about remembering that your health is your number one priority, and these are tools that are going to help you move in that direction. We start with the mind, we get the mind steady, we get the body strong, we purify and fortify, and then we take that with us into powering up leveling, moving out of all our stuff and growing beyond all the things that hold us back from remembering how awesome we are. So the moon practice, the sadhana, in order for it to be complete, because now we're all about making our practices fit Sarvangasana, which is a complete practice. Do you want to just explain what that means in terms of how you're structuring your sadhana, your particular daily practice?
Yeah, well, every practice needs asana, shavasana, pranayama, and meditation. So I'm
do you want to explain
incorporating all of that
terms?
Yeah, so the asana is the poses, all of the movement on the mat that you have to prepare yourself. Shavasana, just the laying down after that, just to assimilate all of that energy that you've built up in those poses. And then pranayama, that's where you build the most prana. So prana is energy, essentially. And you need to build this prana before you come into meditation to have a good rounded
fruitful meditation.
Yeah,
because it's no wonder if your mind is all over the place if you haven't done the work to still it, right? It makes sense that everything is prep towards that space where you can actually sit and be more proximate to yourself and not to all the kind of craziness that goes on in the lower mind.
Yeah, so pranayama is just different breathing techniques, essentially, that build up your prana, and then you move in from that into your meditation. And through sequencing my sadhana, I make sure to incorporate breath work in like the asana side of things that then is going to build up to lead to the pranayama and the meditation, so that you've already prepped your breath for those final stages. So and what else? Energetically, I'm going to be doing a forward folding class because I feel like I need the groundedness of the forward folds. So it will be forward folding and twisting. There'll be like some back bends just to counterbalance the amount of forward folds there are. But yeah, that will create a very energetically calming practice.
Yeah. I think what we forget about yoga as a science, as a practice, is it is progressive, it's systematic. There's very specific pose categories that we work with. There's very specific breathing patterns that we work with that create the outcome that we're looking for. And, you know, if we just throw postures together randomly breathe, it all becomes very messy energetically and can just send us out of alignment, right? And our practice should be moving us forward into more clarity, into more stability. So, you know, it makes sense that we start to craft our practice in a way that suits us. And I've talked about this for years, about like how, you know, how crazy it is that we all expect to do something that someone else is doing and get the same result, right? We're all very unique individual beings. We all respond to our environments in different ways. Some things that suit me won't suit you. You know, in a class-based practice, you know, there's, you're very much like under the influence of what, you know, I'm creating, what Alison will be creating in the future. And you know, the best you can do is kind of craft your choices around, right, do I need an anchor practice today, a rise practice today, or an energized practice today? But when you start to understand what the pose categories mean and how you can influence your energetic state through your breathing, then that opens up a whole new kind of realm of possibility for using your yoga to really give you your optimum state in any particular moment, on any particular day. I mean, that doesn't mean we jump around. So it's like, oh, I'm feeling rather energetically lethargic today, so I will do a rise practice or an energized practice. And that's not how it works. We have to kind of at least sit with our practice for a good solid 40 days for it to kind of reveal its essence and to truly reflect on whether or not that particular practice has delivered the result. I mean, you know, it's just like a science project. You know, let's test it out for a period of 40 days and then reassess, how do I feel after that 40 days? And if, you know, you've got a better judgment of whether or not you need to stay in the moon, maybe you might still feel ungrounded, unstable, maybe the breath's getting better, but it's not quite there, then you know, we stay and we practice again for another 40 days, maybe a different sequence, but we stay in the moon practice. So it's not a question of getting up in the morning and going, you know, how do I feel today? Oh, I'll do this practice. We need to have some discipline. The sadhana is about daily discipline and creating that commitment to yourself to really dive into a practice and see how it affects you on good days and bad days, you know. And it's all about, again, what we've talked about this week as part of purification, not this week, but this month, as part of Purify, Fortify, like week 2, I was encouraging you to step into your witness and like really use the self-study aspect of practice. So not just blasting through your practice and just waiting for it to end. You're actually noticing and witnessing how each practice lands and how you respond on any particular day and why you might have responded in that way. And I say this is why it kind of expands yoga practice as something way, way bigger than just movement and exercise. I
think that's probably one of the most powerful things about a sadhana as well, is it forces you to notice how you're feeling every day for 40 days. So you really get to know yourself, how you react, how your tendencies, and how your practice actually can either make them worse or make them better. Yeah. So it's really it's an easy or easier way of kind of keeping track of yourself and your emotions. So I think that's one of the most powerful things about it. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I know most of you know I journal, and it's a good idea if you're practicing sadhana, if you're committed to a 40-day practice, to actually, just reflect on your practice after. I mean, it doesn't have to be a whole kind of like, chapter and verse, but, just some indications of how you were feeling, what was at play. And then you can really start to build very relevant information, valuable information that may not make sense over a short period of time. But then when you look back over 40 days, you can start to see trends. You can start to see, in that situation, this happens on that day, this, that, and the other was going on, and you can start to then reflect on the choices that you make, and that's how you transform, because it's all about undoing old habits and replacing them with more evolutionary ones. And all that from practicing, yoga. And this is why it's very difficult for most of us to kind of just plug into an online class or a sequence that's just not relevant to us. It's maybe very physically based. You can watch someone do a practice, but you can't really get into the intricacies of the breathing work and the energetic work that goes on. So, part of that is learning how to be a yogi is not just, can I put my leg there and my hand there? It's, being able to hold your mind steady in those moments. It's being able to study yourself. It's being able to stay at ease with yourself. It's about witnessing and reflecting and using that information then to move you and propel you forward in life, not to then kind of get down on yourself again because, oh my God, that's come up again. Oh, I'm terrible. I can't do this. Rah, rah, rah. Right? That sends you back into lower mind. Whereas if you start to build up these other skills and use these other techniques, you suddenly become more artful at using that information to go, you know what, this is not really doing me any favors, working this way or having this particular belief system. So, what else is there? And I always find it fascinating that, most of our belief systems are all kind of made up or given to us anyway. So it's having that space to actually go, is this my belief or is it something that I've acquired? I mean, that's been really quite powerful for me as I've practiced in yoga, just realizing just how much I've taken on board as true and as me. You're recognizing, you often say, oh, that's just not me. And then when you start to question that, well, if it was, who would I be? It's quite a powerful way of starting to unlimit yourself, because as soon as you say I can't, you're constricted and you're not doing, not doing what maybe you want to do or that things that you're capable of. So when are you starting your sadhana? When?
I'm not sure yet because we still haven't completed some of the assignments that we need to do before going into our sadhanas. So it's going to be a few weeks, I think. But yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So, eventually over time, what I would love to be able to offer is like a sadhana one-to-one, like helping you create your own individual sadhanas. Alison mentioned right at the beginning about doshas. A lot of you won't really be aware of what that means, but, it's part of a system that we can use to understand our own constitutions, our own tendencies, and then create a practice that's designed to reflect those tendencies and balance them out. So when we can start to notice if, for example, if we're really kind of in a place of anxiety and worry, that's a sign that one dosha is out of balance, and then we can bring in a dosha we can bring in a practice that kind of balances out that dosha. So, lots of exciting things that we've got planned to help you guys bring yoga into your life in much more of a meaningful way than like maybe you do your exercise practice. Because like exercise is great, movement is great, advocate it, keep exercising, doing all that stuff, but maybe don't see your exercise or your yoga specifically as your primary exercise, your thing you do to exercise. So we need to kind of start rethinking. I'm not rethinking, because this is what yoga is. It's just kind of got hijacked by the fitness world a little bit, and because it's hard for these things to do. It's takes more, right? It takes more from us, more commitment from us. But I think that's a good thing. I think it was about time we took responsibility and accounted for ourselves, and like really wanted to figure out how we navigate life better. And just having a body that's fit is great, but it's certainly not the whole story. We've really got to tackle all the other stuff that gets in the way, because as I've said many times again, we can have big solid thighs, we can have a six pack, we can have, nice strong biceps and triceps. But really, if our minds aren't there, if emotionally we're all over the place, mentally we're kind of fractured and fragmented, then we'll struggle. And yoga's about this integration of who we are, and recognizing that those fragmented parts of us need to be reintegrated so that we dealt with, not kind of constantly suppressed and repelled from, but actually to be seen and looked at from a very compassionate, higher perceptive space. Because if we're operating from the lower mind, we're just staying in those very dark and dense places. So that's part of our plan. Get more of you practicing more often in a way that is more designed to support you, and getting you to understand the whys and the wherefores for that. And that's going to take time. We encourage you to keep plugging into the content that we're providing in the Hug Club, because, there's so much more in there than what we can possibly cover in one class, and it will help you to start to get those aha moments. We talk about assimilating information, and there's only so much we can absorb and take in. So it's a come back to it over time, come back to it regularly. And the more frequently we do that, the better and the more capable we'll become. So keep an eye out in the Hug Club for any and all of the supporting information. Alison and I are both passionate about getting that across to you, so you can become more self-accountable, so you can become more resilient, you can start to rely on yourself and start to trust yourself. But obviously you've got to pick up that kind of baton and do the work, so no one can do that for you. But we're here to give you the resources and all the tools and all the support that you need. And if there's anything else that we can be doing, or you need support with, then do let us know. And also with each other, like reach out to each other. Like It's important that you start to share your experiences in yoga and what you're here for and why you want to practice, because there's so much more that we can achieve together than we can as individual parts. It's the whole kind of yoga kind of story. We are one, right? So we're stronger together than we are in our little individual kind of expressions. So if we bring all the power of us all together, I think, we've got a really exciting place to be practicing and hanging out and spending time, a valuable place, hopefully, a social media tool that actually gives you more than it sucks the life out of you. And that's also what we're trying to achieve here. So anything else we've got coming up that might be of interest? What things have we got coming up on the calendar? We just covered this morning, so I was expecting Alison to remember. But anyway, we've got yoga and gong on Saturday at 12:15. So if you haven't booked onto that and you want to explore the amazing power of sound, you can come and book onto that. We have the next begin course starting in February. Our current cohort are halfway through, and delighted to be welcoming some new members into the group. So please welcome those new members and let them know that there is that support out there. And what else have we got going on?
Pamper night.
Oh yeah, Pamper night, Friday evening. So that's a yoga nidra session supported by a pampering evening, skincare solutions. This Friday, I'm going to invite you all to create your own skincare, your ideal skincare program. There's an app that we're all going to use and really figure out what exactly we need for our lifestyle, our skin types, our age, all that kind of thing. Again, making it appropriate, common theme. That's 6:30 on Friday. It's a free event, and there is the opportunity to win some freebies. So we'd love to see you there. Free teas and coffees. Really nice, chilled evening. I'm just looking at the board. I think that's all we've got kind of coming up for now. So our plan is for this to be a regular thing that we do, or I do. I'm not sure how often I'm going to get Alison to do this. She's done well, right? So, and we're going to be doing it live. Haha, car crash. So we're going to be doing it live so that you can pop on and ask questions. So we'll talk around things like our weekly theme, our monthly theme, what we've got going on. It'll be an opportunity for you to raise questions, and just start to make the space in the Hug Club a little bit more active. I really want as many of you to get as engaged as possible. And again, using this space as a tool to help you grow and evolve. So if you like this, they would really appreciate you commenting. What do? We don't like in the Hug Club, do we? We cheer. Give us a cheer in the Hug Club, and let us know what you think, and keep an eye out for the live. And we would love to see you live on the next one. Alison will be putting that out as an event, so you can RSVP, and then it'll give you a little notification half an hour, I think, before we go live. So great. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there. So this has been about half an hour. So depending on how the conversation goes, we're aiming for about half an hour, maybe up to an hour max, so that people have an opportunity to jump in and jump off the live. Keep an eye out for those, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Thank you, Ali.
Thank you.
Bye for now.